Welcome back. Wager Talk Today, part two for Tuesday, July 27th. I am Steve Merrill filling in for the Prez. That is Rob Bino filling in for me, filling in for Teddy Covers. And this is what happens when you do too many fill-ins, you crash the internet. But we are back. Dave Sharapan is filling in for himself, Dave Sharapan, and we bring him in with the Atlanta Brave, the Hank Aaron. I think of Hank Aaron, Dave. I see that hat. I'm sure Rob Bino does as well. I instantly think Henry Aaron. How you doing, Dave? And is that one of your better lids? Because you've got some good ones.
Yeah. Well, first of all, glad to be here. Glad that everything's up and running and seeing both of you. Yeah, this is one I just picked up when they wore them recently. The throwback. I think of Hank Aaron too, with the same ideas. But it's a team that's like you got to acknowledge they're maybe not going away in the NL East. So I wore it today to talk about, I'm sure we're going to hit on some baseball. I got the Olympic gear on because, who doesn't want to lay 40 in a basketball game? I'm just trying to figure out the math. I'm sure, you guys have looked at it. I don't know. This was like, I got asked about how does someone make this number? Fellas, I don't know how somebody makes this number. You see what the U.S. has done. That number was inflated, obviously, against France. This is the highest basketball line I think I can ever remember. I mean, and it's a 40-minute game. I don't know. I don't know which way to go in that one.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Marco D'Angelo was on yesterday filling in me because I had technical difficulties yesterday, and I heard him mention that you're paying a premium with the U.S., and, it caught my attention when he said that because I'm thinking, are you really paying a premium anymore? I mean, I think weren't they 1-13 when it opened, and now they're like 1-3 to win it all. It's probably less now.
Yeah.
As we talked about earlier in the show, Rob and myself, I mean, this isn't the A team. This is the B team. You've got Durant.
Yep.
That's probably the only top 10 NBA player other than Booker maybe on that team. And Booker just traveled cross country off the NBA Finals. So, yeah, this is a bounce back spot. I know nothing about Iran. Rob Vina was not able to name one player on Iran. And that tells you something right there because Rob goes about as deep as it comes when it comes to basketball. Dave, we'll keep with the Olympics real quick because I know Rob's got a ton of questions too. But first 3 or 4 days, we talked about it last week, and I talked about it with Arthur DeCesar of the Link as well. You both kind of agreed that it was, well, we got to put numbers up. Let's just hope we don't get hurt too bad. What's been the takeaway from what you've heard the first 4 or 5 days of the Olympics for the books, at least?
It's crazy because I'm doing shows now all over the country. So I talk to people in other states, not just Vegas. And I mean, so far it's been the things that we have handle on, we have handle, and it's been pretty good. But we have a lot of things up in numbers that I guess they felt forced to put up that they're getting nothing on. There's just the time change is a real thing. I mean, that's been the biggest hurdle that I think a lot of books have come against, just generating bets. I mean, there are people, Merrill, that you guys know, that we all know, that will bet stuff and not watch it. But people like to watch what they bet on. And if it's on at 3:00 in the morning, or like today, I got up to watch the U.S. women's Olympic gold medal game against Japan. And the total on that game was 3.5. The game finished, 2-0 under. But there's a lot of lines that are off. If you know a sport and you have an advantage, it's there, man. I mean, I was under every U.S. Softball game. And they were under. The first game, the total was 11.5. Second game, 8.5. Third game, 6.5. Fourth game, 5.5. And then the last game, 3.5, and still went under. So a lot of soft numbers until, you all get a basis of information to go off of.
Yeah, Dave, first off, glad to be with you for the first time here today. And let me ask this. Let's get to the point that, dominated the headlines yesterday. Last Friday night or Friday afternoon, late at Friday afternoon, we saw a lot of books, basically take Green Bay down off the futures board, right? We saw a couple take that season win total from 11.5 down to 8.5. Exposed themselves a little bit for a guy who said he was going to retire and 3 days later is happy again. Has everything, I started to look yesterday, has everything been restored where Green Bay numbers are concerned? And, that week 1 number was interesting. It never moved, right? Their game against New Orleans was 3, stayed 3, but yet the future board was adjusted. How's everything this morning, this afternoon, where Green Bay's concerned?
So that's a great question because you have two basically schools of thought. One, we have to adjust it. We don't know. They don't know. Somebody might know. Change the number. Take it down. That's the other thing. Like, all right, we, what are we going to do? So you make two choices. A lot of books just said take it down right now with this, thing. We did. That's okay. That's their discretion. Like, a lot of people were like calling out books. Oh, you took down numbers. We don't know. Somebody might. So we took it down. Other books adjusted their number, continued to take bets. And guess what? I talked to some guys there. Nobody bet it because they didn't know either. So, you maybe took one or two bets, guys like down at the Westgate, they moved the number up to like 40-1 on the Packers to win the Super Bowl. Guess what? Somebody bet it. Well, they were going to bet it anyway because there was value. You know that. So, it's an interesting thing, but yeah, everything's settled now. They're the favorite pretty much in every book that you look at to win the division. Their season wins has been restored as anywhere between 11 and 10.5 and things like that. So I'm sorry about that. The phone just rang. Anyhow, yeah, Rob, it's all over the place. I think it's settled in now. The other funny part about it is the adjustments that came with Denver and another couple teams that were speculated. Their numbers came down. They're all back up. You can forget about Denver winning the division. Their season wins. Everything's been adjusted. So Rodgers played everybody. He's back, and like you said, he's happy.
Yeah, it's funny because Rob had mentioned that last weekend when we were talking about it. And by the way, you can find Dave Sharapan also on SiriusXM Sports Grid Channel 204. You can find, of course, Rob, myself, and Joe Ranieri at noon Eastern on Saturdays on the same network. And we talked about this last Saturday, Dave, and Rob mentioned the Broncos. He also mentioned the Vikings. That was another team that was adjusted within the division. So you're exactly right. It trickles to other teams. And props to the Westgate. I'll give them credit for putting it at 40-1 because most books just kind of hold steady. They don't let you take the other side at minus money that they won't win the Super Bowl, and there's no value. So to actually move it like they were supposed to 40-1 left them open, and we'll see how it plays out. Keep in mind, they were a home favorite of the championship game last year. Tampa Bay had to pull the road upset to go on to win the Super Bowl. So Green Bay was a very good and dangerous team, and will likely be as well. Let me transition over to baseball futures. What are you seeing there in the futures market and just baseball in general? I know you're a big baseball/softball guy. We've got about 5 days left till the trade deadline. Talked about it earlier in the show. Some teams like the Twins, the Nationals have really had some difficulties over the past week once they became sellers. What's your theory on that? Do teams kind of snap out of it after a few days? And how are books approaching this final week here with the trade deadline looming in MLB?
So in the risk rooms for forever in the books, you had baseball guys and everybody else. For baseball guys, this is one of the most fun weeks because you get to move around, futures. You get to, kind of see what teams are going to do and who becomes sellers, who becomes buyers. I mean, there's teams on the fence of, how they do in the next 3 or 4 days. I mean, they've been talking and making, I guess possible trades and things and seeing what the market might bear. But nothing has, if they go on a 5-game losing streak the week before and go from being 2 or 3 games back of a wild card to 7, Friday they go, you know what? Maybe it's not going to happen. I mean, sometimes it's literally that close. So I don't know. Like you saw, I mean, the Padres made that move and got Frazier. That's only going to help. They didn't really have to give up anything at, the major league level. I think most of the divisions look pretty much done. Right. But now you got to see the ramifications of what it does to a team that mails it in. Minnesota's obviously been a bad team all season. Everybody knows it. They know it. They ship out Cruz. And it's do you go against them? I don't think you go against them automatically. But I think you have to oh, my God. So I don't know what you do specifically in the book. But you have to, as a bettor, I think you really got to find teams like streaky teams now, right? You got to go and ride them. So, like, I don't know, that Washington Phillies game today, I don't know what to do with it. I really don't. I think I would play Philly before I would play Washington myself. But Atlanta's a team I think you're going to determine their fate this week. If they go get a center fielder, Starling Marte is supposed to go. They're in talks to go to Atlanta to replace Acuna. If he does, they've announced to everybody we're going for it. We're not mailing it in because he's out. So I think Atlanta be a team to ride. Since he looks like a team that's gone bad, and the price today reflects that. I mean, how can they be a huge dog to the Cubs, who are supposed to be selling everybody? You see some crazy lines in games like this. And the other thing I would caution bettors is like pick the games between teams that are competing and just don't touch a lot of the other games. Dodgers, Giants, great game, close to pick 'em line. There's angles on both sides of that game. I still like the Giants in that one, but the Dodgers have been great when Urias pitches. And then you got Ray and the Red Sox. Ray going against the Red Sox. The Red Sox are dogs at home. Sometimes the lines don't make any sense. And then you guys, I heard a little bit earlier before the thing, we had the technical difficulties. How in the world is Texas favored today? I have zero idea. And maybe it looks too easy, but, I mean, Arizona's got to be a play in today's game.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, Dave. It's something we talked about earlier. Arizona, the worst team in baseball, worst money line team in baseball, so they got to make them a dog. But current form, as you just said, is so important this time of year, and I think that gets overlooked. And that is where you find your edges. Odds makers set the numbers on more long-term thinking. Current form, current momentum, is what you dig in and find. Dave, thanks for hanging with us for part 2 of Wager Talk Today for Tuesday, the 27th. And real quick on the way out, I mentioned SiriusXM Sports Grid 204. Get on the grid. Where else can they find you? What else you got going on, Dave?
Boy, that was a nice drop there, Merrill. That was really good.
Renzi taught me that. Renzi taught me that.
That was good. Yeah. He says that every time. Get on the grid.
I got to give him credit. Yeah.
4 to 7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM 204 at Sports Grid. I got a podcast called Cash Considerations that we do weekly. We're getting ready to start, previews for the NFL season. We're going to dive into maybe some college previews as well for football. We've been talking baseball. We had been talking basketball. And then there's another podcast I do called Get a Grip, which is a business of betting podcast where we talk about everything but picks. So I don't know how much that would apply for anyone listening here, but if you like to look at the big picture stuff and how someone can change the Superdome to the Caesars Superdome when, booking sports and betting on sports was a voodoo subject. You weren't even allowed to say the word Super Bowl in sports books just a couple years ago. It's that's the podcast there.
Awesome. And I'll tell you what we got to do. You got to get me and Rob on just to piss off Prez, because every week I hear him say, why haven't I been on your podcast yet? And you get 100%. Even if you don't get us on, just tell him that you're getting us on and we'll just cancel.
Yeah. You guys are already lined up. You guys are lined up for the fall. We already got this. We already got it planned out. So we're just spacing it out. He's very busy. Sometimes, Flex Tuesday, he shows up. He's probably on some boat somewhere doing something.
Tuesday now, apparently. Now it's apparently Aquatic Olympics Tuesday because this is 2 weeks in a row. He's been out on the hydrofoil. That's what we call it.
Is that what we call it? All right. Good job, fellas.
Man. Catch up soon. Once again, SiriusXM channel 204. You can find him basically every weeknight, 7 to 10 Eastern. That is Rob Vino. I'm, of course, Steve Merrill. WagerTalk.com is where you can find us. Rob, thank you for filling in. I will talk to you again later this week. You're usually on Fridays here, I believe, on Wager Talk Today. And then once again, you, me, and Joe Ranieri on Saturdays, 12 to 2 Eastern, every Saturday afternoon, SiriusXM channel 204. If you want a little bit more of us over the weekend when we don't have quite as much going on here on Wager Talk TV. Rob, thank you so much. We will catch up soon. Viewers, thank you for watching 2 episodes today here on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up and give us some comments below. And most importantly, subscribe to Wager Talk TV so when and you're alerted when we do these bonus episodes on the fly. Subscribe, like, and comment below. And check out WagerTalk.com, $2 Tuesday, and SportsMemo.com, $2 Tuesday as well. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Wednesday, right here for more Wager Talk Today. Good luck.
From now until the end of July, all Wager Talk and Sports Memo customers can load as many as 3 and 7-day all-access passes as they want into their shopping cart and take 60% off using coupon code CART60. This coupon code can be used only once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, but there is no limit to the amount of free and 7-day all-access passes you can load into your cart when redeeming. Every handicapper is eligible, so take advantage of the biggest discount we have ever offered. And don't forget, coupon code CART60 can only be used once per site and expires when the clock strikes midnight on July 31st.